Alright guys, I'm out in the middle of the woods, so what better way to discuss the history of Area 1? Now you've seen it on episodes, you've seen it with the Exploring with Josh episode and the episodes that follows and some of the Bigfoot diaries. So if you haven't checked those, go back and watch those videos. So I'm going to talk to you about a brief history about Area 1. Now, the history dates back probably about 25 to 30 years of sightings in that area. It's close to a really large lake, a nice river system, and all of that surrounds this wildlife management area, over 1,000 acres. Now, the way I got associated with it was I was reading accounts that dated back to that time period, rocks being thrown at fishermen, seeing people walking, or seeing creatures, not people, well I guess you could, some people think they're people, seeing creatures walking along the lake, seeing footprints. One man was fishing one day, had a large rock thrown at him off up the hill behind him on the bank. So then there was another time a man was driving down the road. He saw a large furry creature walking across that gravel road that's right there with Area 1. There's an eyewitness account that I'm going to play for you now. It's a lady. She saw a small one up on one of those power line cuts. So I'm going to play that for you right now.
It's probably about 6:30 when I got off work, and I come home, and in the house, the bathroom, I was using the restroom. The bathroom is the second window that's closest to this side, and I hear what sounds like limbs breaking. I can hear the dogs going at it with what sounds like a growling scream. So I assumed it was a large cat, mountain lion, something like that. I've heard of there being mountain lions and bobcats from the hunters that come down. So, finished what I was doing, and I come outside and I ran down here, and I was standing probably about right here, and I'm hollering for the dogs, and I can hear limbs still breaking, and the smaller dog, the healer, come down probably about 100 foot from this way, and she was walking down as I was kind of coaxing her to come down, and about that time she gets up to me, I go to holler for the other dog, and I see a bipedal, blackish brownish being. I mean, it looks my size, but given the distance, it's kind of hard to tell. But it stood there for just a little bit, and I'm in shock. I don't know what to do. So we have kind of like a 20-second standoff, and I snapped back to it, and I thought, where's the other dog? So I hollering for Reaper, and he comes down. He's coming down out here, and it takes off barely in the wood line, straight up the hill on two legs, long strides. I mean, it looked like cakewalk. I mean, and it's a good incline, and it's not horribly thick, but it's thicker than what I would be able to run through, you know, at that kind of speed and that much ease. About that time, dog come down, foamed at the mouth from side to side, past his jawline. So we went back up there, walked back up to the house. Right past the pole, there's a little bit of sunlight towards the left-hand side, and after that, there's a little bit of shade that comes to a point. It was about right there, and it got barely into the wood line for me to be able to still see it take off up the hill.
Interesting story there, how they were hissing and growling, and it was, I think on that one, I think the theory is that it got caught on that power line cutout by the dogs. All right, so I think that's kind of what we're getting into there. There was another person that was driving down to go turkey hunting. It's really early in the morning, and he said that on the side of the road, and I'll show you some video about where it is, the side of the road, there was one standing there. His headlights hit it. Its eyes glowed red, and he said it was the scariest thing that he had ever seen. He didn't call it Bigfoot. He didn't call it Sasquatch. He just said, I don't know what that was, but I didn't want to see it again. He said its eyes glowed red, its nose was pushed in, and it was huge and hairy. Now, I think its eyes was glowing because of eye shine. I think its headlights hit its eyes glowed red, and you hear that from time to time. Now, there is some evidence that they could possibly have luminescent eyes for whatever reason, so I don't know. So he was coming down the road, and it was standing right there on the bank. Or went across. Real down, but there's so much on the ground right here. You can see it pass. Now, the one thing that this farmer did not know was about 50 yards to the left of where he had his sighting, another lady was driving down the road a year before, and she saw one crossing the road. Same area, crossing the same direction. So, after looking at that a little bit, I think they traveled those power line cutouts. There's some power line cutouts, and I know that there's been some comments about that. I think they travel those power line cuts to get in and out of that wildlife area because it's safer for them. It's rich with wildlife, rich with all kinds of things.
It was a camping trip when I was 14, when me and a friend of mine, we planned this camping trip, and we gathered everything up all week. I went and bought a new sleeping bag, and I was 14, he was 15. He had a tent, I slept by the fire. And about 1 o'clock in the morning, after the fire was dying down, I kept hearing this noise way off. It was like shka, shka. And I couldn't make out what it was. I was laying there and listening. It just kept getting closer and closer. And then when it finally got within 30 or 40 feet inside the woods, I hollered to James. I didn't really holler, I was just, James, James. And he poked his head out and said, what? I said, listen. And he kept doing the shka, shka, getting louder and louder, and all of a sudden there was a pause for about 30 seconds. And then the awfulest racket of tree breaking and falling in the woods, just cracked and fell, and we grabbed a .22 rifle and a shotgun.
So that's a little history of Area 1. There's going to be some videos dropped in of eyewitness accounts and what they saw and what they heard. And people have been scared out of there. The Monster Quest episode where the man had the rock thrown at him in the vocalizations, that is called The Hillbilly Beast, if you want to check it out. If it is on YouTube, I'll drop the link in the description below. That's just a little history of Area 1. We're getting ready to go back out there. And I'm going to do something really stupid and extreme, but I want to see what I can get to come back out at us. Okay. Going out at night, going out by myself, and we'll see what happens, okay? So that's a little history of Area 1. You know, the eyewitnesses accounts that you've heard and things like that, keep those in mind as we're out there. I just wanted to educate you just a little bit on the history of Area 1, all right? So thank you very much, and until next time, remember, the monsters are not just in your head or under your bed. They're everywhere.